Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Ravens Call. I'm your host, Tyler Cameron. If you haven't already or don't know what this podcast consists of, got a 1-minute intro video for you, or you can just follow along on a week-by-week basis. I should be putting those in the titles going forward of what week I'm on. This podcast is available on Spotify, YouTube, as well as Apple Podcasts. You can find all the links to those in each of the streaming services, or look up my Instagram page, the Ravens Call Podcast, and you can find those there. On that note, hope everyone is having a great day and ready to listen to some exciting NFL and Baltimore Ravens news. All right, so first game on the docket was a great Thursday night game where we got an upset. The Rams ended up beating the Vikings 30-20. So let's take a look at this. We'll go from the Vikings side first. Sam Darnold played a pretty good game. He had 3 sacks, 18-25, 240, and 2 touchdowns. The run game was it was there somewhat. You know, they had their chances to run a little bit, but their passing game was just kind of lights out a little bit at the start. Justin Jefferson, as always, 8 receptions, 115 yards. Really good on him. Jordan Addison wasn't really there. For the Rams side, they were able to get the passing game going, stayed in there, and then in the third and fourth quarter just really put the pedal to the metal. Matthew Stafford, great game from him, 279 yards, 4 touchdowns. Good game from him. The run game was there with Kyren Williams, 23 carries, 97 yards. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp were back, so that always helps the Rams win. Puka, 7 receptions, 106 yards. Cooper Kupp, 5 receptions, 51 yards, and a TD. Now, before this game had started, Cooper Kupp was on the trade block. And that could have sent shockwaves. You know, getting Cooper Kupp to an elite team that's going to the playoffs, that could have been very tough. So the Rams really needed to win, or else they probably would have traded Cooper Kupp. And they were able to win. They're now in the hunt in their division, so I don't think Cooper Kupp's going anywhere at this point. I'm kind of glad I couldn't see him in anything else. He's just been really good and deserves to kind of stay with the Rams on that note. But it was a good game. There was a interesting call at the end of the game where the defense got lucky with a face mask. So I'll paint you a picture. Vikings are at the 2-yard line. They need, I think it was 8 points to win. Yeah, 8 points to win. So touchdown and a 2-point conversion. And Sam Darnold is in the end zone, about to throw the ball, and one of the guys for the Rams gets to him, gets a sack. Well, on the replay, you can clearly see that his hand grabs his face mask and pulls it. It wasn't like a little tug that you could barely see. No, he yanked him, and the ref is standing right there in the replay, and he doesn't do anything. So obviously the Rams got a safety, able to win the game by 10. Now, you know, this is the human error of the game. This is why the refs need to be more on top of things. But even the defensive player knew that he grabbed the face mask. He was shaking his head after, like, no one was celebrating because he thought that there was a flag coming, and there wasn't. So I know the Vikings are pissed about that. Vikings have lost 2 straight, hoping to bounce back next week for the Vikings, but it was a tough game for the Vikings and a really good game for the Rams going forward because now they're back in the hunt. Preview to a bad performance by the Ravens. But let's go on to the Broncos game, and then we'll go into the morning games. So Broncos, playing a terrible Panthers team, were able to get the job done. Didn't start out that way, but it never normally does for Denver. Denver's a very slow starting team. Bryce Young was the starter for the Panthers. 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Only sacked twice, which is actually really good for the Panthers. I expected more. Chuba Hubbard, 15 carries, 56 yards. Not that much on the run game. There never normally is with Denver. decent receiving game for a bunch of guys trying to make a name for themselves, because Devontae Johnson and Adam Thielen were not playing this game because they're injured. I think it's more because they're going to get sold here in a bit, maybe today, maybe sometime this week. But before the deadline, I expect both those guys to kind of be gone. On to the Denver's offense, which, I mean, played amazing. Bo Nix, 28 to 37, 284, and 3 touchdowns. Probably one of his best games. Cortland Sutton threw a pass. Riley Dixon threw a pass. The run game was pretty good. McLaughlin was able to bring some firepower with Javonte Williams. Sutton had a great game again, 8 receptions, 100 yards. Troutman, 4 receptions, 85 yards and a touchdown. It was a pretty good game for most. I think that a couple drops by Humphrey and Mims. It was a good game. You know, there was a lot of bad things that happened. The score could have been a lot higher. Defense shut them down like always. Denver's 5-3. Bo Nix is starting to gain some confidence, but these next 2 games for Denver are going to be probably the 2 of the hardest games they're going to play all season, which we'll get to here in a little bit. Now on to the morning games. The Eagles just killed the Bengals, 37-17. Now, we think this is an offensive shootout. It was an offensive shootout. It's just Cincinnati just got plagued by a lot of different stuff, especially when you have it seems to me that T. Higgins is showing his value to this team, because when T. Higgins is out, this offense does not look the same, and it showed. But I'll talk about the Eagles first. Eagles had a good game, more on the rushing side, not as much passing. Jalen Hurts, 16-20, 236, and a touchdown. Pretty good game from him. It wasn't too much. Saquon Barkley was just awesome as always. 22 carries, 108 yards. Devontae Smith, 6 receptions, 85 yards and touchdown. A.J. Brown, 5 receptions, 84 yards. So this team's looking pretty good now, and that was probably one of the best Eagles games by far for them. I would expect them to continue with this momentum, but you never know with the Eagles. They were facing a terrible defense in the Bengals, so we'll have to see on that. But Bengals, Joe Burrow, touchdown and a pick, 234. Only 1 sack, which that shows you it's like there was something else going on, that it just wasn't going well for them. Chase Brown was their leading rusher. Zach Moss is pretty much non-existent at this point. To be honest, Chase Brown has kind of won over the job. Mike Gesicki, 7 receptions, 73 yards. Jamar Chase, 9 receptions, 54 yards and a touchdown. A couple fumbles. Only 1 was lost from them, but it really has to do with their defense, because they're not able to keep up in points. The Bengals are a shootout team. They could score points at will. The only problem with that is if they can't keep up the pace with their opponent, they'll lose. And that's what happened here in this game. Bengals fall to 3-5. That is a tough hole to get out of, especially with how our division is looking. But you never know. We'll see. Now on to the slugfest of the day, which was Tennessee versus the Lions. Now, Tennessee looked good in the first half. You know, they were able to mix and match some stuff, but then it just got ugly in the second half. Mason Rudolph played pretty decent, but threw 2 picks. Tony Pollard had a good game running. Calvin Ridley showed up at the pass game, 10 receptions, 143 yards. So he was a problem, but when you face, and 2 fumbles were lost for Tennessee, so that kind of affected them. But the main thing is this Detroit team is probably the best team in sports right now. I don't consider Kansas City to be it. You know, they face a lot of crippled teams, And Detroit has really been able to show up when they needed it the most. But we'll see how that goes. Records are one thing, but when it gets down to the playoffs, it's another. But Detroit didn't really have to do much this game. I mean, Jared Goff threw for 85 yards and 3 touchdowns. He didn't have to throw that much. Gibbs, 11 carries, 127 yards, and a touchdown. They were just able to kind of get the ball in good position and just kind of go from there, all honesty. Sam Laporta finally stepped up, 6 receptions, 48 yards, and a touchdown. But there wasn't much for them to do. They always were in a good position with their run game, and then they got these little passes at the end of the game. And David Montgomery threw a touchdown pass, if anyone wanted to know that. But yeah, it was a slugfest. Detroit looked really good, 52 points put up. They're looking to make a name for themselves in the NFC. On to what some would say was an upset. I don't know for sure. Arizona won on a game-winning field goal. It was a back and forth a lot of the game. First game back with Tua. Kyler Murray, 307 yards and 2 touchdowns. James Conner, 20 carries, 53 yards and a touchdown. Wasn't really much of a run game, more of a pass game. But Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. were studs in this game. Trey McBride, 9 receptions, 124 yards. Marvin Harrison Jr. comes up clutch, 6 receptions, 111 yards, and a touchdown. Against the defense that is supposedly really good. Tua coming back, played pretty decent, 234 yards, a touchdown. Achane did really well on the pass game and in the run game. Tyreek Hill, 6 receptions, 72 yards. It wasn't his best game. He told the media, you guys better start me, and he did decent, but he didn't do what we expected him to do. The game was pretty close all the way going in, and then Kyler Murray just kind of stepped up and took it into overdrive and was able to get them in good field position and able to win the game. Dolphins are 2-5 right now. And they have a lot of division games that are going to start creeping up to where they're in a must-win situation, or it's donezo for their season. Same with the Bengals as well. A lot of AFC teams are not playing as well as they should be, and their records aren't showing it. But, that's how the way the game works, especially with what I'm about to say here. With this game, the Jets and the Patriots. Jets lost to the Patriots. The Jets are now 2-6. Probably out of the playoffs, but don't ever count on any teams. The Bills last year, they had lost 5, and then they just won, I don't know, like 8 straight or something like that, and they were in the playoffs. So never count them out. Aaron Rodgers, decent game. Their run game and their pass game are there, but they just can't convert touchdowns. That's their thing. And then they kind of were sluggish at the start, and they continued and maintained it. I mean, they put up points every quarter. And the problem is there are a lot of field goals. And there was a field goal that was missed that kind of hurt them, but I mean, they hurt themselves detrimentally. This defense is supposed to be really good. The Jets defense is supposed to be one of the best, and it didn't show up. Now, on the Patriots side of things, Drake May started off the game pretty well. Then he ran, and he ended up getting injured, so he was out with a concussion. Jacoby Brissett comes in and played really good. Was able to get them in some good spots in the run game as well. Stevenson didn't have his best yardage game, but was able to get 2 touchdowns. They were just able to manage the game a little better and score where needed, but able to score a touchdown in the last, I think it was like 20 seconds, scored a rushing touchdown and then went for 2 and was able to convert on that. So Patriots are 2-6, Jets are 2-6. The only difference is everyone on the New England side of things prepared to be 2-6 or have a bad record. On the Jets side, everyone projected, including myself, that the Jets were a playoff team, maybe a Super Bowl contender. Even with Davante Adams, you still don't have that, which is kind of shocking. because it's like you give Garrett Wilson or Devontae Adams to the Ravens, we play better, we win games. I mean, the Jets don't have an excuse. They have a great defense. They have a great rushing game. They have great receiving, great passing. I don't know what more you can ask for. They check every box, yet you can't win games. So it's going to be a tough one. I know the Jets have the Houston Texans or the Strouds on Thursday, so that'll be a tough game for them. And it's kind of a must-win because if they lose, I don't think you're going to make it. You're going to squeak by at a 10-7 record if you win every game out. But you never know. This next game is the Falcons and Tampa Bay. Falcons won 31-26. A lot closer than I anticipated, being that Godwin and Evans were out. How are they going to be able to manage? Well, they were able to do really well. Baker had to throw 50 times, 330 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 picks. But let's start out with the Falcons here. Kirk Cousins loves playing Tampa Bay. He threw 5 on the Thursday night game. Well, on Sunday, he had 4. Really good game passing. Decent game running for Bijan and Tyler Algier. Bijan was able to help in the pass game. Kyle Pitts was able to score 2 touchdowns. One of them was very close to being a game changer because he was going towards the end zone and I don't know if he didn't realize, but he knew the guy was gaining on him. He kind of put the ball out behind him and he almost fumbled it. The guy knocks it out and almost made him fumble, and it would have gone in the back of the end zone and been a touchback, so it would have been no touchdown. And that would have drastically gave momentum back to Tampa Bay. But yeah, I think that Kyle Pitts better not be doing that again, or else it's going to end poorly for him. But Tampa Bay, they played really well. Baker had 2 picks, which that kind of was detrimental to them trying to come back. Bucky Irving had a good game passing as well as running. So did Rashid White. Cade Otton is becoming their new stud. 9 receptions, 81 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Good game for him. Rashid White lost a fumble, which kind of helped put the momentum back to the Falcons. But Falcons 5-3, Tampa Bay is 4-4. Division is still pretty much wide open for Tampa Bay and the Falcons to make playoffs, but we'll see. I think that their matchups are done, so it all comes down to if Tampa Bay can beat out Carolina and can beat out the Saints. Now on to a very close game in the Packers-Jaguars game. Jordan Love does not look like himself. He kind of was hobbling around, and then all of a sudden he took another hit and he was down. So Malik Willis had to come in and step up, and step up he did in the end. Was able to get a good passing touchdown, was able to run the ball pretty effectively. Josh Jacobs was their main guy that drove them. 25 carries, 127 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Huge for him. Huge game that the Packers needed. They don't have to rely on their pass game. They can just be like, hey, Josh Jacobs, can you carry a load for this game? And he was able to step up on that. Passing game was good. Tucker Kraft starting to get more involved. 3 receptions, 78 yards, and touchdown. Dobbs has come back better than ever on that. Jacksonville's looking better from an offensive perspective. Trevor Lawrence, 1 interception, only 1 sack, threw for 308. That's a pretty good game for Jacksonville, all things considered. Tank Bigsby, 18 carries, 78 yards. So if I was a betting man, I would put him as a starting running back and try to get some trades for Travis Etienne because this season's not going to go well. You need draft picks. Etienne is definitely someone that a lot of people would take, as well as Christian Kirk. But Christian Kirk actually broke his collarbone, so he is done for the rest of the year, which he would have been a really good trade package for anybody. I know for us, it would have been nice having him as like a slot guy to where it takes the pressure off of Bateman, takes the pressure off of Flowers, because Aguilar is not really it for me. We need to expand our receiving core, but right now. It's a whole nother problem, but I digress. Brian Robinson Jr., 3 receptions, 60 yards, a touchdown. It was a pretty good game for them. It was pretty close all the way through, and they were just able to win out and hold strong. The Packers were. Xavier McKinney, right? Yeah, Xavier McKinney has another pick. He is the league leader in interceptions right now, and he's just everywhere right now. But it was a good game, all things considered. I thought this game was going to be more of a blowout, but Jacksonville showed up to play. Another game where it came down to the wire, which was Houston and the Colts. The Strouds were able to pull off a win in the end. Houston they don't look their best right now, and it's just going to continue to get worse because Stephon Diggs had a non-contact injury where it looked like a knee, and it's never good when you see the knee because it normally results in MCL or ACL, something like that, but I digress. Let's talk about the Colts. Anthony Richardson. To me, I think you need to bench him. If I'm a Colts fan, and I'm pretty sure that most Colts would agree with me here, you need to bench Anthony Richardson or put him in timeout because he's terrible at throwing. He runs inadvertently and he doesn't go down, which you can say, well, there's some quarterbacks that just never did. Michael Vick did. Lamar Jackson does. Kyler Murray does. Cam Newton? Yeah, Cam Newton didn't. And he had a good career for about 3 years, and then he had to stop. So it's about saving yourself and knowing when to stop or when to continue. And he doesn't have that. I think they played better when Joe Flacco was the quarterback, in all honesty. But, here's the stats to prove it here. Anthony Richardson, 10 of 32, 175 yards, touchdown and a pick. Not his best game, sacked 5 times. Jonathan Taylor was their bright spot. 20 carries, 105 yards and touchdown. Josh Downs, 4 receptions, 109 yards and a touchdown. He was their only spot. Pittman was there, Taylor was there, but it just did not look good for them offensively besides the run game. Now for Houston, their run game did well as well. But CJ Stroud, he did well. If you look at the stats, he did well. He had 2 sacks, 285 and a touchdown, but they don't look like the team like last year. Yes, they're 6-2. Don't get me wrong. They're still a great team. They just don't look like they have that extra, oomph to them right now. But Joe Mixon's their bright spot. 25 carries, 102 yards and a touchdown. Was able to get 4 receptions, 32 yards in receiving. Diggs was their top receiver, but as soon as Diggs went down, it started going a little more downhill. Dalton Schultz was going to have to step up, so is Tank Dell stepping up until Nico Collins gets back. Houston has a tough matchup against the Jets coming up here this Thursday, and it's a dogfight because, you guys have just lost another good receiver. You're going to be facing a Jets team that's in a must-win situation. So it's going to be tough, but we'll see how that goes. On to the afternoon games here. Chargers and Saints. There wasn't much to this game. Chargers were able to run the ball, able to pass Ladd McConkey, 6 receptions, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. That was really good on him. Chris Olave and Kamara. That's it. That's all I'm going to really say about this game. It was kind of a shit show for both teams. Both teams just don't look like really good teams. They just kind of manage well. So I feel bad for Kamara and Olave because the quarterback situation is going terrible right now. But this game right here was another great game. Josh Allen threw his first pick of the season, but was able to lock in and continue going on. 283 and 2 touchdowns, was only sacked once. James Cook had another good rushing game, 7 carries, 111 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Coleman and Shakir were able to get good receiving games. Cooper still trying to figure himself out. Seahawks just didn't look good at all. They were fighting amongst themselves. The run game wasn't there. Pass game really isn't there when you don't have DK Metcalf. So Geno Smith threw another pick. That's just kind of how it went. This game was over in the second quarter. It just looked like the Bills took their hearts, and they really did. So, but the Seahawks are 4-4. A lot of people in their division are 4-4, besides the Rams, who are 3-4. To where it's a dogfight. You're going to see what happens going forward. That's the division that's going to be the most entertaining record-wise, I guess to say. Because I think that the NFC North is going to start separating themselves. I'm not even going to go over the Chiefs-Raiders game. It was a shit game. Patrick Mahomes had a decent game, 2 touchdowns. He threw another pick, so he's the league leader in interceptions. Hunt had a good game. Kelsey had a good game. But, I mean, you facing a Raiders team that did not play well. And even then, it was 27-20. Like, this offense just kind of, they seem just to win games, just squeak out wins. So, it works for them. Now on to probably the most talked about game, which was Washington and Chicago. Now, Chicago played terribly throughout the entire game. I want that to be clear. Caleb Williams had a good drive at the end. He had 3 good passes. He went 10 of 24, 131 yards. He did not play well. I knew going in to this game it was 1 versus 2. Well, Jaden Daniels threw for 326 yards and a touchdown. The touchdown was the one we'll get to a little bit later. But, Chicago, let's just talk about Chicago first. DJ Moore was not there. Keenan Allen was not there. You have two top receivers, and you can't find a way to get them the ball. It just amazes me. He's had the most weapons. Most amount of weapons. And you have a good running game. The most amount of weapons, and you can't do anything with it. Bo Nix is doing more with less. Spencer Rattler is doing okay. Drake May is doing better than Caleb Williams in my perspective. So that's how it goes. But DeAndre Swift had a good game. 18 carries, 129 yards, and a touchdown. Was able to really set the tone for them. Their running game was really the catalyst for their 2 touchdowns. Caleb Williams just wasn't there. But on to Washington. Washington was just dominating this game and just could not convert on touchdowns. They'd get down there and shoot themselves in the foot. But good, decent run game from Jane Daniels, Eckler, and Robinson. Scary Terry, Zach Ertz had good games passing, but it all came down to the end. So let me paint you a picture. Okay? It is 12-15. Bears just took all the momentum. There is, 3 seconds left on the clock, something like that. And they have to throw a Hail Mary to win. They needed a field goal to tie, but they couldn't have got it in time. So Jane Daniels chucks up a ball. And smartly enough, Noah Brown kind of stays in the back because sometimes they tip it towards the back end. And luck was just on their side. I mean, Washington deserved this win. Chicago didn't. Chicago did not play well in any facet. So Washington deserved this more than Chicago did. But they were able to tip the ball, and Noah Brown was just standing there right in the end zone waiting for that tip ball and was able to catch it on the final play. Coincidentally, one of the Bears' defensive backs that was part of the Hail Mary, he was, taunting the crowd a little bit and, just kind of flaunting that they were going to win. And, karma comes back to bite you in the ass. So he's probably kicking himself right now. But Washington 6-2, Bears 4-3. Washington could have played a lot better in this game. Bears did not look well. I don't think that Caleb Williams is not the best quarterback in the draft. He's fourth in my opinion. So, but I digress from that. Cowboys, 49ers. Now, 49ers play well. 49ers dominating this game. It was 27-10. I swear it was 30-10. And then the Cowboys just came back. But running game was terrible for the Cowboys. Passing game was there, but then Dak was just throwing ill-advised interceptions. And then towards the end, CJ Lamb was like, just let me cook. And boy, he did. 13 receptions, 146 yards, and 2 touchdowns. If you played CeeDee Lamb this week for your team, awesome for you. If you played against him, I am sorry. Brock Purdy, decent game. The run game was there. Kittle and Debo were their tough one. But yeah, the 49ers offense just kind of is still a little sluggish. The defense for the 49ers isn't as what it's been chalked up to be, but 49ers are 4-4, tied with 3 teams in their division. Cowboys are 3-4, need to really put the pedal to the metal because their division is a little tougher to go off of. And then we had the Monday night game, which was the Giants and Steelers. Yeah. Steelers couldn't convert. Third quarter, they got a touchdown from punt return. Their only touchdown came at the end. They did not look good on offense. And, Giants had a chance to win this game a lot at the end. But the only difference is they don't have TJ Watt. TJ Watt was the difference maker in this game because he was able to get sacks and a strip sack when needed, which caused them to win the game. You're facing the Giants. You're facing Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is going to choke. He always does. And that's what he did. But, again, once the Steelers face a good team, they face the Jets. I give them kudos for that. But out of your 6 wins, you have faced one good team. One good team. And I know now, looking back, you can say, well, they faced Denver. Denver's deep. It was the second week. Bo Nix was barely learning the play still, kind of thing. So I don't think that the Steelers can get too much credit. But then again, they are top of the division after our little blunder, which we're going to talk about here in just a second. But yeah, the Steelers are top of their division. We'll see how they do once they face some really good teams and see if they can hold up on that. But that is it for week 8. Now we're going to talk about the team that you came here for, the team you know and love, the Baltimore Ravens. All right, so obviously we lost. Baltimore Ravens lost 24-29. We did really good stopping the run for a good amount of time, but Jameis Winston threw for 334 yards and 3 touchdowns. He killed our defense, but we dropped the ball. There was 3 or 4 times where we could have intercepted the ball and changed the course of it. At the end, Kyle Hamilton had one of the easiest picks known to man and dropped it. That would have sealed the game. We would have won. Game would have been done. But that's just sometimes how it happens. We were able to do really good effectively with the passing somewhat, but Derrick Henry had 11 carries, which is very unusual. Derrick Henry normally has like 20 carries. So I think that we should have been running the ball more with him. But, our defense looked like shit. Our defense has been terrible. I said it last week against Tampa Bay. Yes, we held up pretty well. We held up really well against the Bucks. But I had said we need to fix some stuff on defense, and we were not able to do that. Yes, we had Nate Wiggins out, we had Marvin and Humphreys, but people need to step up. And our pass game was still crap when Nate Wiggins and Humphreys was in. Humphreys just plays a little better now. But Stevens got burned a lot. Marcus Williams was out because, he's playing terrible. Gave you all this big money and you've played like shit. Eddie Jackson, he's been detrimental to the team. We need help on defense, which I never thought I'd have to say that about the Baltimore Ravens, because the Baltimore Ravens thrives on defense. We are one of the best defenses always. That's what our division is. The Browns have really good defense. The Steelers have a really good defense. The Ravens have really good defense. Well, right now, it hasn't been that way. Browns have started to get back to it, but the Browns, the first 6 weeks, have not had a good defense. Past 2 weeks they have. But, our defense played like shit. That's all I can say about this game. Our offense is going to put up points. We're up 10-6 at half. We're able to manage the game, get a comeback. Was able to score at the end there to put the pressure on them, and they could have won it with a field goal. They chose to throw a touchdown pass, which was kind of shocking, but we shot ourselves in the foot. Like everyone says, when the Ravens lose, it's because the Ravens don't lose to a team. The Ravens lose by beating themselves. And I think that's what we did here. We have faced such good teams that we expected to kind of roll through the Browns with the momentum we had on offense. We didn't have some players on defense that really did affect us, but we didn't think it would affect us that much. And boy, did it. Jameis Winston came out with a spark, was able to light up for the Browns. And, yes, this win, this loss for us is not that big of a deal, in my opinion. We're going to come back a lot stronger. But this was a wake-up call for us, which I'm happy about. This was a wake-up call to show, hey, what are we weak at? What do we need to do so that we can get farther in the season as well as in the playoffs? And it's the defense, because the offense looks sound. Yes, I wish for another receiver to line up with Bateman and Flowers, but our defense, especially in the pass game, has looked terrible. Jameis Winston had 2 sacks. We used to get to the quarterback a lot last year. Now we're not. It's just, I don't know. It's just so tough to see. But yeah, Ngakoue didn't really get anywhere. Like, there was not many pressures. Eddie Jackson needs to step up. Brandon Stevens needs to be able to, get those catches done. He's there all the time. Like, he's right there, but he just keeps missing it. But yeah, we need help on defense. There's nothing else we need. Just need help on defense. But bounce back game, I'm hoping we can bounce back next week. But yeah, it was kudos to the Browns. Good win for them. Next time it won't be so easy. We're gonna be frothing at the mouth at that point. But all right, so that is it for the Ravens. Let's talk about Week 9 and our predictions. All right, so we got a good treat. Thursday night, we have Houston versus the Jets at the Jets. The Jets are favored. Now, this is going to actually be a tough game. Record-wise, it doesn't look like it, but the Jets this is a must-win game for them. They need it. Houston's defense is kind of there, kind of not, but Houston just lost Diggs. Nico Collins will not be back, so they're going to be without a lot of receivers. They're going to have to focus more on Joe Mixon in the run game. Can the Strouds come back and win? We'll have to see. I'm going to side with the Jets on this a little bit because this is more they need it. Texans don't really need it. They're kind of cruising through their division. The Jets need this to even stay alive. Because you go to 2-7, you're done. There's nothing at that point. So, all right, on to Sunday games, which is a good one here. The Ravens and the Broncos, 5-3 versus 5-3. Now, my wife is my wife is a Broncos fan. I am a Ravens fan. So I'm going to sustain from any type of talking about this game until it's done, just because I don't want to jinx myself or be discredited towards the Broncos, because I do love the Broncos. Not as much as the Ravens, but I do love the Broncos. I do think the Ravens will win. Spread at 9.5. I don't think the spread is going to be that much. I don't see them winning by 9.5. Not even. I think it's a lot less than that. But it's going to be a good game. Both teams are really good. So, all right, on to the next one. Falcons and Cowboys. Cowboys really need that one. Falcons have looked pretty good. I think the Falcons will take this one. Bills and Dolphins. Bills are going to kill them. I just think that Josh Allen just looks amazing, in my opinion. So, yeah, I would say the Bills. Raiders and Bengals. Bengals should easily win that game. Chargers, Browns. I think the Chargers will win. They'll squeak by a win. Ooh, this is probably the best game of the week. The Patriots and Titans. No, I'm just kidding. I think the Patriots will do well. I think they have a better quarterback play, but you never know. This could be a toss-up. Commanders, Giants. Wow. Commanders. Saints, Panthers. I think Derek Carr should be back, so I easily am going to say the Saints. Eagles, Jaguars, Eagles, Bears, Cardinals. That's tough. If Kyler Murray is able to play like he has been playing the past couple weeks, I would say the Cardinals. Ooh, another great game. This is probably the game of the week here. Lions and Packers. I'm going Lions. If Jordan Love's out, I'm definitely going Lions. If Jordan Love is in, I'm still going Lions, but barely. Because the Lions have just looked absolutely like the best team in football, in my opinion. So, we got the Rams and the Seahawks. This is going to be close. If Puka and Cooper Kupp are playing, I'm going to give this one to the Rams. If DK Metcalf, I don't know. This game is another great game that's going to be a toss-up because the Rams are really good when they have them on offense, but can the defense hold up? For the Seahawks, can the offense hold up and the defense hold up? So I'm going to go with the Rams on this. Sunday Night Football, Colts and Vikings. Are you kidding me? I'm going Vikings. And then Bucks, Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to win. It's just how it goes for them. They face teams their worst right now, and that's just kind of how it goes. But teams on a bye are the Steelers and the 49ers, so good on that. Let's see standings. Let's see how we're doing in divisions. So Buffalo is cruising to a pretty much a 3-game lead on their division. We're up 2 on the Bengals and down 1 on the Steelers, which not that worried. Houston's up 2, but I'm pretty sure the Colts are going to lose to the Minnesota, so they'll be 4-5. So even if the Texans lose, it's not that big of a deal if they lose the Jets. Surprising teams here. Broncos are 5-3. Chargers are 4-3. Chiefs are 7-0, which, yeah, okay. Commanders and Eagles are both really tied for their division at this point. Cowboys really need to step up and win. Best division right here, right now, is the Lions and Packers. Those two are going to be squaring off. And if the Lions lose and the Vikings can beat the Colts, this becomes an even better division than it has been so far. So, that's going to be good to see. Falcons are up 1 on Tampa Bay. It's between these two. They're kind of coasting. The Saints are already out of it. Now, this is another division that's becoming kind of sneaky, is every team's pretty much 4-4. Pretty sure the Rams, they have a bye. So every team here is in a must-win to even be part of the division. So definitely good going forward. But yeah, it was a good start there. But that is it for my Week 9 previews. And we'll see how well the Ravens can bounce back and see how well the Broncos do against the Ravens. But it's a week where I'm going to be shutting my mouth a lot because I don't want to be disrespectful to the Broncos, but I also want to be confident in my Ravens team. So it's the very fine line I'm walking. But as the clock winds down on another riveting episode, I want to thank you guys all for listening. Again, my schedule, every Wednesday at 12 o'clock, I'm going to be uploading it to Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcast. I will put something on my Instagram page the day of to make sure to let you guys know on that. Make sure to like and subscribe on whatever platform you prefer. Feel free to comment or ask any questions. Again, if you want me to address anything, any teams, any players, anything along the lines within the NFL besides the Browns, I'm all for it. I will answer your question on the podcast itself. Also, all the music and sound is provided by my brother-in-law, Justin. So, Justin, thank you for that. Well, Ravens Nation, thank you for joining me on this episode. Until next time, stay fierce, stay loyal, and keep rooting for that purple and black. I will see you next time on The Ravens Call.